best dirt bike data dump ever.
Number 3 says,
so I have one.
No way, Jose.
Yeah, so did it say, whoop?
And I'm writing you from jail.
What would I give? Okay, so anyway.
Welcome to That Moto Show with Dirt Bike TV's Jay Clark and producer Donnie Bales.
Moto Show 31. I think we got a great show for you. 31, I think of Barry Karsten. Do you think of, I don't know, who else do you think of as 31?
Man, it's so funny. It's a number that I don't think of much.
Right.
It just
but I think Barry Karsten had it a year or 2 or 3. I don't remember how often, but he had it.
I do remember him having it.
Did you see that little blip they did on the Northeast Riders, and they brought up Barry Karsten and his son's racing like a Privateer 450? Yeah. Barry Karsten was this cool dude because he would race at Supercrosses, both classes, 125 and 250. A lot of guys did that, but he was one of the ones that made a living doing it. And he rode Suzuki's, so you get really good contingency with Suzuki's over the years.
So I had another good friend that went to high school with. Chris Young.
Yes, and he did it a bunch out west here.
Out west.
But he pretty much, for the most part, at least later, stayed out west.
Yeah, I think he told me he made 8 total mains together.
With both bikes the same night.
Both bikes same night.
Pretty gnarly.
There was other nights, like Barry. Barry did the same thing where he would make one and not make the other. And then occasionally that would come together where he'd make both.
So cool. All right, so cool.
I couldn't imagine riding one main event.
Right. And they're heading back, Supercross is heading back east. So we got Foxborough, Boston, Massachusetts, right?
Yep.
And then what else is back there?
Philly, right?
Philadelphia.
Philly.
And then they're going to New Jersey.
East Rutherford. And then I think it's Denver after that.
Okay, so 3. I thought there was 4 Northeast rounds.
Is there 6 rounds left?
I don't know. But anyway.
Whatever. We're going to get off.
Yeah, we're off topic. But anyway, before we get too far started, remember to email me your questions, tech questions, things like that. Remember to do that. Also, I was going to promote our Dirt Bike TV shirt. It's right here. Donnie can show a picture of one right here, right now. Okay. So you buy that actually through Decal Works. And if you use our code, you get 20% off. And so that it kind of covers shipping and tax and all that.
Nice quality shirt, too. It's not like junky or anything.
No. Great job.
Nice. Yep.
Okay. So what's been happening lately is I got a few more. And today, actually, you like the high vis? They call this?
I just thought there was a guy coming to work on my street when you showed up. So
I went to the train museum with my family. There's the logo for the train museum. But it is high vis for the train guys and also for, workers. And so it gives me some street credit when I roll into the gas station.
Yeah.
I look like, I'm going to get it more dirty. I want to get it more, I want to work in it.
The ends of the sleeves have to be destroyed.
Yeah. So I will work on that. So it's new right now. I've only worn it a couple times. And so now I want to get it more worn in. So I look more real world dude working. Yeah, when I pull into the gas station.
Caution, men leaning on shovel neck 3 miles.
Right. So anyway, love the shirt. Okay, so what's been happening? We got a little bit cool weather, which is cool, and we also had a little bit of rain. So I got some last bit of trail rides up in the Des.
Yeah, I would say a little bit. You did a lot.
Yeah, I got a couple more photos for you to run. So we got a couple more rides. We got another little snow, and Jim and I went out. I got 2 days that week up there in the Des. It was pretty good. And then some hill days, So the last time we were here on this show, Spencer was here. No Spencer today, unfortunately. But the YZ450 FX was behind you. Yep. Today we have the YZ250F, not an FX. And we're going to be shooting this one soon. Look how nice that looks. You like the camo, I know. Yeah,
the camo's like I instantly loved I think I've probably made 4 comments on this bike, saw it at your house, and then I was like, this thing's amazing.
Yeah, so 250F, the Yamaha 250F is one of our favorite 250Fs. This thing's really nice. Vortex from Jamie at Twisted, Recluse torque drive, Race Tech suspension. There's some of the highlights, and Decal Works, of course, makes it look incredible. So we got the Blaster Power on there. That's that new company. You see, you got Blaster right next to you, and over here, they're making a lot of new stuff for the power sports markets. They got 6 of these new aerosols, so that gives you a little bit of ideas there. So we took that trip, and then we took a trip to Utah. Spencer and I went dual sporting, and it kind of overlapped with the same time frame. You and Rado were going to be at this Rocky Mountain ride in Mesquite, which is southern. It's almost southern Utah. Like Mesquite's just northern Nevada.
We literally covered all 3 states.
Right, you stayed in Utah. Ride. Yeah, you stayed in Utah. So Spencer and I did a dual sport ride on one of those trail rides I was telling you about the last one. about a week, so 9-10 days ago, I smashed my foot. I hit a tree and it hit my handguard, which is good. But when it hit it, it knocked me off, and I got a 29-inch inseam, so I couldn't reach the cliffside over here. Fell down, got myself back up, but it was a bummer. So,
how's the foot feeling now?
It's tough. So it feels fine. Like I can actually run on it. If I have loose shoes, it's just the top right where you shift. So on upshift, it really hurts.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to ride tomorrow, Glen Helen, if all goes well, and then Spencer's wants to ride again when he comes into town on Thursday. So it just upshifts.
I think that you're giving yourself a lot of grace saying you have a 29-inch inseam.
Right.
I think you're stretching it there.
28.
Yeah.
When people say how tall you are, I go, I used to be 5'7".
Right.
I used to be on a very tall, proud day.
On that adventure bike ride, it's fine, but I put a bag on the back.
Oh, how are you getting? I was wondering how you're getting on.
Did you see me get on?
No, are you stepping on like?
I can't. I have to put the bike on the stand.
Okay.
And step over like I'm getting on a horse.
Yes.
Okay. So we stop, and I forgot the bag was there, and I'm at a dead stop.
You did a high kick.
High kick. And me, the bike, and everything went over. Never even came close to falling on the ride. And I'm at a dead still, and I go to kick off, and I never made it over.
Because you kicked the bike, and it knocked
I kicked the bike, and me and the bike went over.
Okay.
So the 28-inch inseam is the same problem.
On that topic, okay, for whatever it's worth, I've mentioned this before, but I got a couple more emails this week about guys wanting to lower their bikes. And the guy's like, and my wife was in the room, and I'm like screaming as I'm reading the email. He goes, yeah, my kid is 5'9", has a 30 inch inseam or whatever. He's 5'9", this kid, okay? And we want to lower his bike. And I go, come on. I go, what would I give? Okay, so anyway, what would I give? Okay, so anyway, yeah, you don't need to lower your bike if you're 5'6" and above, and just practice more, ride more.
Right. Balance. You need to practice your balance.
Yeah. So we got a few photos of you and Ratto on the adventure ride, and that was pretty cool. Rocky Mountain organized a really nice ride in Mesquite. Just a couple hundred riders, 150, 200
160 riders. I think.
Okay.
Yep.
So really cool group, and they broke it. What was really cool about it, because I went down to when you guys were taking off and staging.
Yep.
Is they had like 6 or 7, 8 rides, and you would leave your lanyard there and go out for the guide, and they had a guy out front and a sweep in the back, and everybody would head out.
Super well organized. Rocky Mountain did a great job. The trails were super fun. Mm-hmm. It's adventure bike riding, so it's not as challenging as like the other stuff we do, but we cover a lot of ground. Right. And you see a lot of different terrain, and like the edge of the Grand Canyon and stuff. It was gorgeous. It was amazing.
And so this is where I get to. You rode street bikes more than I have.
Yep.
I've never ridden street bikes. Okay. Other than up and down the street now and then. Okay. Just in front of the house or something. Somebody brings one over to try out. But I'm not a street bike guy.
Yep.
So the dual sport, and which I struggle even dual sporting enough to justify owning one, right? How much? Everybody's like, even Ping was asking me about, don't you think your future is gonna be adventure bike riding? And I just don't know, because I think
that you would enjoy it a lot, because it's a way to still ride, right? So I can say I enjoy both of them. I like seeing things, so I like really seeing different landscapes and stuff like that. But when we were riding back, so we had to go. What was that area? The gorge, when you cross over the Virgin River a bunch of times. The gorge. Mm-hmm. We ended up on the other side of the gorge, and we had to ride 30 miles back through the gorge. And I thought of you, and I go, "Oh, Jay would absolutely hate this," because we were doing 75
on asphalt
with traffic.
And that's hairy in that gorge. How fast the semi trucks are going through that gorge?
No. I had to go to like 80 to pass the truck.
Right.
Because they're doing 75.
Oh, dude.
And so you're riding along at 75, and literally you could reach out and touch their front wheel.
No, see, and I can go 100 across a dry lake bed.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it in a highway
situation.
I
have to be honest, I wasn't happy about it. I wasn't like, this was the whatever, but I just like whatever. And my bike, oh man, that thing is so awesome. It has cruise control.
Right.
So where we've been riding, and I just on the highway just set the cruise, and I don't have to hold on with both, and I can just let go kind of and just relax my hands on the bars.
Yeah.
It's
So-
actually kind of nice.
That's cool. And Rado was pretty excited about the ride. He doesn't get to travel a lot for some of these rides that we've done,
Yeah.
so he was pretty excited about going. You guys
Yeah.
had a good time.
Yeah, he rode great. I'd say like on our adventure bikes, basically same skill level. He was ripping pretty good.
He does pretty good off road, and
Yep.
he's been practicing even going over stuff with that thing. And we got the suspension upgraded. I got some photos here of we put new Dunlop tires on because they're just wimpy, cheapy stock tires. And Race Tech stiffened up the suspension and got that set up. So he's really liking that Suzuki.
Suzuki was surprising. It was really.
You rode it a second.
I
right?
rode it. Yeah. I rode it for a little bit and on the dirt, and I was surprised how good it was. It doesn't quite feel as moto-y
because you're not sitting on top.
Because you're not sitting on
down in
top.
there.
You kind of sit inside, but the bike did great and tons of power. It's still an 800.
Right. 800. You feel injected. It's like whoop.
It went fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, so I'm glad you guys had a good time on that. Let's talk Supercross.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love Supercross, but we're not a full-on Supercross show. But real quickly, we'll talk because also we're not current on when this comes out. So this will be coming out, and the next race will be like the next day after this or whatever. But we just had Seattle, and what was before Seattle? Birmingham, Birmingham wasn't as exciting.
Triple Crown.
It was a
Birmingham,
Triple Crown,
yep.
but it wasn't as eventful other than Max Anstey getting hurt, which sucks.
That was devastating to me. I wanted that guy to
losing dudes, and it's so hard, man. It's just a brutal sport.
That's the thing. We've talked about this a couple times, and that is, Webb is winning, but Jet isn't there, and blah blah. Well, Jet isn't there because this is the gnarliest sport in the world,
right?
So Webb did it better this year to stay up and not hurt.
Right.
And I think that Jet is obviously an amazing rider. I'm not taking something away from him,
right?
But I hate when people put asterisks on things. I think I said it on the last one. It just bothers me to no end. I don't look at our racing that way. Oh, but Jet is, I want Tomac to be there. That's the guy I want.
Well, one of the coolest things, because also a weird thing that happened is Anderson had to go home.
Yeah, that was weird.
I don't know if he was there, I heard.
Yeah, he was there, and he hopped on a jet and left.
Okay, I was driving, so he had a family emergency. Hopefully all is well.
You got to pray for him.
Yeah, that it's nothing too serious, but I'm guessing if he left the race, I'm guessing it is pretty serious.
Yeah.
So hopefully all's well there. But what I noticed is, so when you this has happened in past years, when you're just down to two dudes who are really the top two guys, in a way, it's even cooler because they get together quicker.
Yep.
So if
that's a good point.
You see what I'm saying? That's what I was like.
Yeah.
So let's say one of them gets a bad start and the whole field's there, and they're still the top two guys. They got to get through Anderson and Barsha, and they got to get through all these guys, right? And they're battling, and maybe they don't ever make it up to the other guy that they could have a battle with. So now you got Sexton, and I think we're kind of semi-guaranteed that Sexton and Webb are gonna pretty much battle every main, unless, knock on wood, no one gets hurt, right?
Right.
So that's the kind of cool thing, is that their field is thinned out, is that we get this instant, we know we're going to get a battle.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So that part's kind of cool.
That pass that Sexton put on like three guys at once was amazing, and right then you thought, Sexton's
you
gone.
You thought he's done, and he was. You're like, okay, he's done.
But Webb, you can never count that guy out.
And we were talking about before that it is. It's like, bears surfing, juggling, chainsaws while shooting machine guns, whatever. It's the most dangerous sport in the world.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. I think bull riding's safer,
Yeah.
less chance of injury. If you looked at the numbers,
Well, you're only on the bull for 8 seconds.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
to make it, yeah. So anyway, and then speaking of Supercross news, so it was great. And then the Deegan thing was cool, but we did have a little bit of drama with him getting arrested, which was kind of fun. Guys,
Do you see his gear during the day?
Yeah, 2 different sets, orange gear.
He had high vis like he was in prison, but during the day he had like the prison stripes. I loved it.
So they owned it. That class, that Cole Davies looked amazing, which he has at times already. So
that kid is fast.
Yeah, they got a guy there. So that could be a winner next year. That could be a guy.
What do you think about the Deegan Beaumare?
Who knows? We'll see how it plays out. But it's all fun and games. I don't think it bothers Deegan much. He likes to poke and prod, and so I think it gives him fuel. So
I think behind the scenes, those guys say, "Let's do this and let's do that." It just feels like it's almost scripted.
I don't think so.
I know. I'm just kidding.
I don't think so.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So the other bit of Supercross news we got, Rado sent us photos on the way here of Roxon. He must have flew red eye that night to get to Austin for the MotoGP, which I like watching some of that. It was kind of cool.
I watch it. GL was there.
Oh, he was there too.
Yeah.
Quite a few guys go. I've wanted to go. I've been to that facility. It's an amazing facility.
Yeah.
But anyway, Roxon was there. hanging out with Ducati guys.
Yep.
So of course now it's going to be all ablaze, the interweb here of him riding for Ducati next year.
Right.
Can't hardly argue it. It seems like a good fit, right? But I've, there's supposed to be a Troy Lee team. He wears Fox. That's a long-term deal. So who knows how it plays out? But
but Barcia was an Alpine Star guy, and they wrestled him away from Alpine Star.
I think it would take a lot to wrestle Kenny away because the problem nowadays, you look for that brand ambassador thing as you're old.
Yep.
And he could be a Fox guy for the next 10 years.
For sure.
As an ambassador deal. So who knows how that plays out. I don't see him wanting to lose that. And Red Bull.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I've heard a lot of rumors about Ducati. They want a top tier guy straight out of the gate.
Right.
Well, who's available?
Well, I guess a bunch of them are. Sexton's available.
Yeah.
So there's tons of good guys.
But I heard Sexton wanted to stay with KTM because they've already developed this bike.
Right.
They've got, and they're
it's
not changing it next year.
No, not changing it.
So they want to stay with it.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
It sounds like the way to go to me. The new videos we have up, we did your adventure bike before we left.
Yep.
So we're learning on this adventure bike stuff. We're new to it. The KTM is the only one that I found runs tubeless in the front. And so when we changed it the first time, I'm like, okay, we'll just put it back. Then you went on a couple rides and you write me and you go, hey, my bike's losing air. Like overnight, it lost like 10 PSI or 15.
Yep.
So you're like, oh, I said, take it off, go put it in the pool. You put it in the pool and you send me a video. It's leaking right at right where the tire meets the rim. So either, rim's cracked or whatever, but it was just dirt in the rim. So we took it off. I called a few adventure bike guys we know, got some tips, and they said, yeah, you put tubes in them, man. You could put some ultra heavy duty tubes in there, and that's this solution. Also, I talked to a few people. We're going to probably end up running smaller rims on the KTM and play with that because Donnie's mainly you're not doing 100 miles an hour for hours and hours. You're doing more dirt.
I want to do mostly dirt.
So we're going to skinny up the tires front and rear a little bit.
Hey, so I got a funny story.
We'll talk to Colin.
So we go on the adventure bike ride and the rear is still tubeless, right?
Yes.
And I brought tubes with me, but I left them in the van. And so for most of the ride, Rado and I got a late start, right? And so Rado and I were by ourselves. So I was so cautious about clipping anything sharp, right? And then we caught up to a bunch of guys and I know they had tubes and I passed them. So after that point, I didn't care. I was just mashing everything.
You did the math.
I
get a flat here, these guys are coming.
Yep.
Okay.
Ask Rado. I told him that.
Well, this is one of the most common things. I get guys asking me all the time for me to break down what's in my tool bag. I've talked about that, like what I carry in the trail. We carry minimal stuff. Zip ties, an 8, 10, and 12, some cutters, things like that. We carry basic stuff because I always say I don't want to carry any more weight than I already am carrying, right? Extra. So my tip is ride with somebody who does carry a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good tip.
Yep.
The other video we have up is the YZ450 FX, which was here last show we had behind you. And then those next 3 days in a row, Spencer and I rode that thing a bunch. We got a bunch of good content on it, made a good initial video. We really liked the bike. I don't want to give it away too much, but we rode the RX last year, 450, and that was really good. This wing feels right on in there. It comes with softer ECU settings, and the GYTR tuner is actually really easy to use.
Nice.
And it makes good differences. Like Spencer threw in a tame one, was actually slower than a 350. Almost, it was too slow. So you can actually just really slow the thing down. It's kind of impressive. The original GYTR software a few years ago you couldn't do as much. So this one you can really do a lot. So anyway, so we're looking forward to that. We'll have more videos coming on that. And speaking of that, I have right here our 14 front, 52 rear sprocket that we're going to throw on that bike. And then Racetech has the suspension. It's a little too rough, choppy on the choppy trails, the tough single track trails. It's a little too Moto,
Oh, they don't soften it.
It is softer, than stock, but it's not as. So I think we could use it a little bit plusher in there.
But Yamaha's known for having the best.
It's still good.
Out there.
Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
And I rode it back to back with the 250 FX and a couple bikes, and it's really good. Everything else I compared it to had suspension done already. So stock suspension is really good. Power's not too bad. The stock ECU, so the stock FX comes with a toned down map in the blue setting. And when you click that thing, it's totally rideable. I think I'd be fine riding that bike on the trail, no problem. So, no big deal. Okay, so What's next? I think let's do a few. We can get onto YouTube comments.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you want to go first? What do you got?
Yeah. Griffer Rich.
All right.
CR250 epicness. This man reminds me of my father, just full of life and energy. I always have to say that I love motorcycles. Having bikes around will keep you youthful.
It's touching.
That is very touching.
Isn't it touching that I remind someone of their dad, and his dad's probably passed away. It's a fond memory. So I'm glad I could be your daddy.
I see. This man is you. Yeah, I get it.
So, what about the guy at the Rocky Mountain thing that came up to me and said that you were right there, and he said, you taught me more than my dad.
You taught me more than my dad.
What'd I tell him?
Yeah, you said better than me because I didn't have a dad.
So I got to be that.
You're every man dad.
Every man's dad. All right.
Yeah.
So next one we got is this is on the KX500 build, which we got a lot of these. I had to delete like 3/4 of them.
Oh, really?
It's just too many. Oh, so many good comments on the KX500. So many. This makes me want to go fire up my green 2-strokes, and that typically don't run, that I don't do much of besides look pretty. Always, how does he say this? Always default to the newer push button 4-strokes nowadays. This is Jim Himes Jr. And so this is my problem with these we build these cool 2-strokes, like these old ones.
Yep.
At the end of the day, most guys that can afford to build up a 10 grand bike or 20 grand in this case, you prefer to still ride your nice current 25 4-stroke electric start EFI, all that. So that's what happens to a lot of guys, I feel like. I think you're right. That's kind of what's...
Listen, I love that bike. I actually keep it in a vault so nobody could even see. It's like in a hermetically sealed vault right now. But yeah, I prefer riding. Unfortunately, my 350 is the best thing I've ever sat on in my life.
I can't argue with you.
Yeah. All right, on the Kawasaki, the KX500 build. Been waiting for someone to do an auto clutch content on a KX500. This is from Two-Stroked About 2-Strokes.
Okay, so what we felt like is, hey, we built this bike long ago, and we go, hey, it'd be cool to test an auto clutch in this thing, because our biggest fear is kind of that chug and stalling it in a turn. And then even though it's got that decomp, it's cool to have to kickstart that thing on the track. We're 20 years out of practice of kickstarting bikes at the track.
Yeah, I still have to kickstart it like next to the stand, even though I have the decomp.
So it was a great addition. And that's really what we mainly go over in the video, but it really is just a great addition for that bike.
Yep.
This is on the KX500. I got 2 of these that mention this. This is Travis. Says, did you see the rear shock spring compress when he revved the bike? That's one reason they stopped making them. 500s vibrate so much. So it was at the 131 mark. I had 2 of those guys bring that up. Here's another KX500 one from Rockman. What a killer build. But if you need to have a compression mod on a 500, you're not a man enough to ride one, in my opinion. So he's calling us out, saying we're not man enough to ride a 500.
But does he ride one or have one?
I don't know.
Right?
But anyway, it was pretty funny.
All right. On the KDX 200 piston change, man, you guys did well on that. Looks like a decent, unmolested KDX. I'd have bought it too.
Yeah, so that was your buddy we bought that bike from. And great bike. We haven't done much with it since. We have a video coming out soon with the KDX 200 versus the RMX 250. And we have new pistons in both, and we have new clutches in both. So our next step is we're going to put chain and sprockets on them both, kind of make them more trail worthy, and then we're going to get some good trail day.
But Spencer keeps saying he wants you to do full builds on them.
Yeah, we're not going to.
Yeah.
No, I got better things to do.
Tell him he can do full builds on them.
Yeah, he doesn't got to. He'd want to get paid to do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, so next we have another KX500. He said, this is JS. Better than new. I'm old enough to remember that people didn't want them when they were new. Too big, too much power, too hard to ride fast, hard to start, vibrated. This is like a factory bike though. So what people forget with these 500s, everybody's want a ton of money and they are cool. They all think they're cool. But remember in 98 through 01 or whatever, when the CR500s and the KX500s were ending, no one was buying them.
Couldn't sell them.
They couldn't sell them.
No.
So it's funny how now there's this desire for them. I think just to be cool, I don't see very many people buying them to be their main squeeze. Right?
In fact, I think I've probably seen more KX500 in crates like new in crates than any other bike when you come across new old
really?
stock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've seen several of them, and they want top dollar for them now, but
they're wanting over 10 grand.
Yeah, I saw 04 last year, an 04 that they wanted like 12 grand. It was new in the crate.
In the crate.
Yeah.
And was that like the last year?
Yeah.
Range? You had to
04 was
be, had to be
last
right
year.
in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another KX500 quote. You're going to love this one, Donnie.
Yeah.
This is from Rob. Just more proof that Donnie's a cool guy.
Listen, I like Rob. I want to hang out with this guy. It's like unlike my other friends that abuse me all the time.
And then in the KX500, the bees, he writes the same thing about the shock spring.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
talk about how that thing shakes.
Did you
so
even
much.
notice it before these guys mentioned it?
No. And then, so this guy, Joe, the blacksmith.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping he's made a tire stand for himself.
Right.
Because if he's welding.
He should make it out of like black.
Have an anvil at the bottom or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Such an iconic bike. Really hope to see an in-depth comparison between a KDX and the RMX. And he says he's picking up a 94 RMX 250 Monday. He was like all excited. So again, we have that video coming soon. You'll like this one, Donnie.
Yeah,
No name Chrome.
No name Crumb. He's recommend premix ratio 32-1 premium and testosterone. That's pretty good.
So the KX 500. Oh yeah. So then the KDX 200 one. When I put the piston in, he says Jay Clark kicks a new piston with "Hey Dudes" on #legend. So
That's pretty good.
now this one's big. I'm gonna talk about this one. Let's get this one on the screen. So this guy Will K came up with some info on most guys that have a 2017 through 2019 range KTM 250, 350 bikes. Those bikes had a plastic oil pump gear, and we did some videos on that, and you can go back to our videos. Well, he found out that he says KTM has created steel gears for the 24 models for both the intermediate gear shown in this video and the smaller oil pump gear. Both the steel gears are drop-in replacements for the plastic ones on the older models. It's about $30 USD, right? For both. So well worth replacing the new steel gear, and he has the part numbers for the steel gear, the steel oil pump gear, and then the plastic intermediate gear, the old plastic. She has all the part numbers right there outlined, and he did it on a 17 FE350. OEM parts fish diagrams now show the new steel immediate gears, but not the new steel oil pump gear. Had to navigate the 24 models to see that one. So thanks to Will for...
How much of a problem, like realistically,
So
is the plastic gear?
So here's the deal. If it was a problem, it was a big problem. If it wasn't a problem, you never knew about it.
No problem at all.
So no problem at all. So it was a really weird, because we had bikes with 150, 200 hours and take them apart. We had some bikes with 100 hours on them, let's say, back, and we took them apart to replace it, and the thing looked fine. But you would pull some out and the gear was warped. So the gear had a little bit of warpage, and then that thing could then, once it would get warped, it would wear out. And once it would wear out, it was too late. You're riding, it would then skim the gear, clog up the oil pump, just grenade the motor, because then you're starving the top end. So then the cams get stuck, valve train buckets, the whole deal, and then many times it'll hit the piston. So just a disaster. So that's why the consequence was so big. We did it on everything. We changed them to an updated gear, not to the steel gear, but we don't have any of those. Well, I only have one of those old bikes left. I have a 350, which I rode. That's what I rode last week. Oh, there's these two gears. So there's one for the oil pump itself on the left side, and then one for the idler gear on the right side.
Okay, that's what I was like.
And it's not too big a job. We have a video showing how to do it.
I see.
So this one's not bad. This is Power Skier, and he's talking about one of our best two-stroke builds we did. And he says, big tanks are super expensive. Why not carry fuel bladders? Well, first of all, I have no problem with guys. I get guys write me all the time, and they're just needing a little bit of fuel, and they don't. No problem. We carry a backpack, and you could put fuel in there. And what I suggest is, because you don't want to carry all the extra weight, is 30, 40 minutes in, just dump it in there.
Yeah.
And something like this size is fine, just something, you don't need a ton of gas usually, but, you can, but as far as a fuel bladder, like strapped to the bike or anything, I probably wouldn't want that. I would just carry it in a backpack.
Do you remember years and years ago, they used to have a little tank that would go over the crossbar.
Yes, and a Chirby still has those.
They do.
We ran it a few years ago. Jim ran it on a Yamaha because we didn't have the big tank.
Yeah.
He tried it on a Yamaha, and it worked. They used it for like a trip or two.
Okay. This is on the KX2, KX500.
Yeah.
The only thing old about this bike is the frame and the cases. Dope AF.
Well, also that AF thing, I had to get that explained to me.
Oh, you did?
So a lot of these terms nowadays,
Yeah.
after a while, and sometimes I wait too long.
Yeah.
Because you wait too long.
Yeah, and they cycle out.
Well, not even that. It's like when that's been a term for like 3 years, and it's like I've just because I don't really pay attention or care.
Yeah.
And then I have to. Most of the time, if I see people are using it a lot, and I'll look at the context, I can figure it out.
You wouldn't use the AF anyways.
Not too often.
No.
AF Canyon is in Utah. There is an AF. So maybe that's what he's talking about. There's a canyon called American Fork.
Oh, yeah, I know that canyon.
Yeah.
The next one is actually really good.
This one's awesome. This is from War Water. And this is on the KX500 that Donnie owns, that the cool guy owns, and it says, I would gladly trade my wife for that bike.
Yeah. First, I don't think his wife would be happy. My wife also wouldn't be happy because I don't think I could use another wife.
No.
But I want to know what skills she has. Like, can she clean or cook or any of those things?
Or make a nice living for you.
Make a nice living for me.
Yeah,
I need one of those.
Yes. All right. KX500 again, man. We are still
How
rolling.
many of these questions did you get?
Oh, I threw away so many, dude. But
Really?
they're just so cool, man.
Yeah, it is cool.
This one's awesome. This is from GDV. It says, the greatest thing about these bikes is how little time you have to negotiate the peace treaty once you hit the throttle. And I do think that auto clutch helped us out a bit on that.
Yeah, it made it from, I don't want to say sketchy, but definitely thoughtful to ride to basically you don't have to think about it.
Okay, so go ahead and read that next one. I didn't bring the bar pad, but go ahead and read that one.
Is that a watch as a lap timer on your bar pad from Not Here?
Okay, so we've mentioned this a ton of times, but I like to run a watch in any way I can on my handlebars when I'm doing motos. Like if I go to Glen Helen, it keeps me a little check. And like I haven't rode Glen Helen in month and a half because I've been riding.
They're going to
hills.
think you died.
Oh yeah, it's been a while, at least a month, which is huge for me because a week is a long time. So. Having the watch in there, I'll send you a couple photos you can put in. But
yeah, for sure.
With the crossbar pad, like the bike behind you has, we'll actually just carve it in there, and then I have a good Instagram video showing a couple different ways to do it as well. And then if you have a round crossbar, just like a regular crossbar, it's really easy. You just push the watch right around it. No big secret there. I also try not to blast them with water because I'm buying cheap watches. I'm trying to, and since the last few years they've gone way up in price.
On my XCF, I found an orange Casio.
Yes, of course. So, to answer his question, no, we don't check lap times. So I'm not going around and looking down.
It's just time.
Because I would have to do some serious math. So it's just your overall time. So I'll hit it. And then I will slow down and look down to go, okay, I'm at 20. And it gives me an idea, okay. But most of the time I look down, it's further than I think, unless I'm not feeling good.
This is your version. It's a $9.99 version of the Get. Right.
Yes. Yeah. It's my, Lip Pro.
Lip Pro. Yeah. It's your Lip Pro. Your $9 version of Lip Pro.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Jay could read my thoughts on those safety glasses. Ugh, reminds me of I'm going to have to get a new pair soon.
Okay. So what's cool about these? And there's another guy that talks about this. This is Bomber, a company that makes and there's a jet ski guy. Bonacci's the guy that, remember he did like in the 80s and 90s?
Tom Bonacci?
Yeah. Tommy Bonacci. It was like the Bomber. That was his nickname.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, what's cool about these are reading glasses that I got into safety glasses.
Yeah.
So how cool is that?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's really nice and gets you some good protection, and I'm not having to, because many times when I'm using regular cheapy glasses, you don't have much protection. So this is nice when I'm doing some.
I need to get a pair of those because these aren't cheapy glasses that I'm wearing.
Right.
So I think I need to get a pair of those.
You'll be throwing up grinding sparks on those and everything. Yeah. So anyway, those have been great. This is SoCal Rider 1754. Love the pod. Was just wondering what the backstory of Dirt Bike TV is and how did Jay and Donnie get into dirt bikes. So first thing I'll say is to give you a whole history of this thing on my side is it'll be like a day ago, the new Whiskey Throttle show.
Yeah.
is coming out. So it'll be out when this video is out. It'll be out. So we'll have the link in our description. Got a few photos from that day with Ping. Did a little history and all that, and walked through the whole history of how long I've been in the sport, a long time. So talk about this. As far as so if you were to check that video out, it would help you a ton. But to say that nothing, to give you the quick summary is I just grew up loving dirt bikes. My uncle's raced, so that kind of got me into it. Didn't have the money to really be that into it, so till I was in my early 20s, could actually afford to buy some stuff and slowly get more and more into it over the years. As I got into the industry, obviously helped a ton. So then it grew into that, and Dirt Bike TV itself just became a thing to help promote a lot of the project bikes we've been doing for years, like for Motocross Action and Dirt Bike and Trans World and Racer X and all these places. So it was a good place to promote more of our builds for those guys. And that's mainly what we do, is build bikes for other people, and then get some extra content on Dirt Bike TV with, helping people be able to do stuff. And we're going to try to have more videos on there with, practical tech tips.
Yeah.
But then, Donnie, so I was thinking can you give us the quick child from just, and then next show, we'll talk about like teenage to 20s, but give me your childhood, like how you got into it.
We've done a couple of things for my best friend, Johnny Poska. Well, he moved into the neighborhood when I was about 10, and I'd never basically been on a dirt bike before that. And he rode dirt bikes, and he invited me to go to Big Bear with him, and he basically taught me to ride a dirt bike.
And how old?
11.
11, okay.
11-ish. And then I begged my parents for a dirt bike, and they bought me a used $375 1976 YZ100.
Right. Okay. Very good.
And so then I rode that until basically I outgrew it. And then I bought my next bike when I was a teenager.
Yeah. So you kept into it. And,
And I was in and out like you. And when I could afford it, I moved on.
Okay.
Yeah. But Johnny basically, and him and I are super close today.
What was the first bike you rode with him up at Big Bear?
It was a 79 KX80.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at Big Bear, where were you guys going?
Well, his dad had a cabin.
So were you guys riding close to the cabin?
Yeah, and we just ride around his cabin.
Okay.
And there was a lot more like
open areas.
It was way more open areas, and we just he made a little track, and then he'd take a turn, and then he'd go ahead and do this and do that, and he was already. Even at that, he was riding since 1.5. There's a picture of him riding at 1.5.
That was like 58 years ago. So
58
it was
years
way
ago.
more.
Yeah. Long time. So that's it. Yeah, he got me into it, and then here I am.
Very cool. All right, so next, let's go over a few products, and then we'll get back on our comments and stuff. But first thing I'm going to talk about is this. You know what this is?
Yeah.
It's a gator.
Gator.
And I always thought they looked silly.
Neck gator.
But when you go out, so the way this goes.
It looks silly putting it on.
Yeah. So it goes like this, and it just sits right here. Now, when you stop, if it's cold, you can go like this. It covers your ears. It also keeps your neck from getting sunburnt. Then when you're riding, you take off. If you go like this, just like this right here, you can put your helmet on. And then your goggles will stop right here. And you can even pull it up to your nose if you want and just go like this, okay? So, really inexpensive. And I saw all the Dakar guys would wear these things because, again, they'll keep you from getting that and getting wind checked. So if it's cool out, I really like to use one of these. So great product that you should have. Motion Pro makes this one. There's tons of companies. You can find them online, but cool one there. The first one I got was from Jimmy Lewis with Dirt Bike Tests. He had a climb one. Okay, then next we got radiators. We got this is a stock. This is for our TX300 build, which we've been talking about for a little while. And you can see it's been welded up by ICW, strengthened. And then we have our Trail Tech fan on here. So I sent him the fan with it so that he could allow proper space to be able to bolt the fan back on. So pretty cool deal from Trail Tech. And then we've already talked about everything else, right? On Donnie's table, we have the Moto seat. We got Weisco and Blaster over there. So that kind of covers our products. We already talked about that. I've been using the new Factory Shine. Factory Shine might remind you of, and it smells really good. This would be similar to some other products out there.
I love shiny products.
Right. And leaves a little bit under.
I want to hold up the...
No, yeah, seat cover.
Yeah, I got a seat cover here.
Nice. And then see the other piece laying over, that's for a Yamaha, so it has two pieces.
Yeah.
And their patterns are really good, so it's really pretty easy to install. I did the seat right behind you.
Yeah.
Pretty quick and easy. Yeah. See? No ripples.
You did the seat.
Yeah.
You're the factory installer.
On that one, yeah. So Donnie will sometimes run them out when he goes to Arizona for me, but I usually end up doing them.
Yep.
He just ships them to me now since he's moved away from California. This Mud Blaster.
Not me, Moto seat.
Moto Blaster. This Mud Blaster from PB Blaster from Blaster Power. This is a good thing to spray on under the fenders before you ride to make it a whole lot easier to clean. So before we get on those comments, I got a couple cool tech ones to read for you, Donnie.
Okay, go.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a picture here. This is from KCF back east. He was getting a picture of him with Gene Simmons.
Oh, nice.
And Gene Simmons of Kiss. And he was at a work conference, so they had him there. So kind of cool picture, because he wrote me and he was talking about his 14-year-old was on a CRF 125F, and he wanted to know the next size bike to get for them to trail ride. And this is a window I talk about all the time. There's just nothing great.
Yeah.
So you go from a CRF 125F, which is great. There's a big wheel version. But beyond that, then you have to get on a full-size bike. They go, a 200 or a 120. They're all the same height as a current 450 motocross bike. That's what I tell them. This 21-inch wheel, an 18 or 19 rear, they're all the same height bike, seat-wise. Some guys go, hey, one's got a half-inch lower seat, but they're all so close anymore. Basically
the same.
Yeah. So it's a tough spot to find a bike for a 13 to 15-year-old kid who's, 5'4" to 5'6", 5'7", in that range can be tough.
You ever see some of the guys racing big wheels? They look huge because it's like they can't. There's no in between.
And I had a good guy write me, and I wasn't aware of this. He races pretty heavy, and his kid's like 14 or 15, probably like 15, and he's going to race 1 year of Loretta's left on the Super Mini. But he has like a 125, he's riding, but they're going to go to Loretta's this year.
Yeah.
And he's having to get risers and big bars and do everything he can to get it all way tall. And I'm
Taller seat, maybe.
It's just all so unnatural. I'm just like, is he really going to be top? I wrote him, I was honest. I said, hey, is he going to be a top 3 or 5 guy? If not, maybe just spend time on that 125.
Was the kid like, Dad, I want to ride this class another year?
I would skip that class and just do that. Yeah, the kids that drive themselves to the track.
Yeah.
All right. So then we got.
Could you imagine my kid? I've seen 16-year-olds riding Super Minis. Could you imagine my kid trying to ride a Super Mini?
He's huge. Kenneth B says, you guys run 32-1, right, on 2-strokes? No. Okay, but we run 32-1 on 125s and under, 40-1 on 250s and over, 50-1 on 250, 300 trail bikes and bigger. So there is no blanket answer. Sorry, they want some magic deal to fit everything. And I get a lot of guys wanting to, even on their 125s or 85s, they're getting a lot of goop at the tailpipe or whatever. So they want to. Yeah, I know that's the answer. Okay, but they want to just
I
run
didn't say anything.
They want to run it at 50 or 60-1 or 100-1.
That ain't gonna work.
Yeah, but your crank needs that oil.
Yeah.
So the crank, main bearings all need that oil. You need that lubrication. You need the oil. So if you're getting a bunch of goop and you're running 32-1, your kid's not fast. That's fine. My kid wasn't fast when he's there. You can lean the bike out.
Just bring some plugs.
Bring some plugs. You're going to foul plugs too.
Yeah.
And silencers are going to be all coated up. But the easiest way is to lean the bike out and don't let anybody fast ride the bike while it's leaned out.
Get the packing material in the exhaust just saturated.
Oh, saturated.
Yeah.
I did one the other day. Oh, that KDX 200 was really bad. All right. This one's really cool. I got some cool photos for you to put up here of Gary D. He's from the Northeast. He lives in New Hampshire. And he's on by Boston, and he says back in and there's a cool picture of his tugboat here on the dock. Yeah. He's got his tugboat in the background. This is like a man's man. Got the dock, the boat, whatever you call that thing, in the harbor there, because his tugboat's in the background.
Yep.
Right there on the water, and he's building his tire stand right there, welder right on the docks. So how rad is
you couldn't probably be around, like maybe a lumberjack would be maybe as gnarly, but the guy that runs a tugboat, that guy's going to be the gnarliest dude on the planet.
I would think so, because they're getting up in all kinds of weather.
It's not, and just the stuff how dangerous that job is.
Yeah.
You have to be tough.
So this guy's cool. So he got his kids into riding. He said his first bike was a 73 Yamaha. And he still has it, and he's currently restoring it.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome!
It's a AT3 125, so that's cool. Anyway, so he says he enjoys our shows with me riding with Spencer, and he's looking to get some new bikes, and he's got a bunch of bikes. So I just thought it was a really cool story of him, and it's cool that he could build a tire stand.
Riley rode a little bit when he was younger. But now he's starting to express interest in wanting to trail ride.
Well, now that he can ride a big bike, I think it's going to be better.
Because he just never was the right size for any bike.
Right.
But he's just started going, I want to ride more. Actually, so I put him on my Grom a little bit just to ride the Grom. Right. Just get used to that, riding around.
But get the coordination going.
I could basically let him ride my 500 EXC.
Right.
Well, tune it down.
Yeah. It'll be good.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. So we got to get him out.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And then we got Curtis K from Utah. He says, hey, Jay, I received a foam cannon for Christmas, and I've used it once this year. The pressure washer on the foam cannon will get used a lot. The truck, trailer, cars, bikes. If you have a foam cannon, what soap would you use? The foam cannon is nice spray. And I got some cool pictures of it here. He sprays across. A lot of guys like that look of spraying the entire bike, and it's got that foam on there. I don't know if it makes a whole lot of difference. Okay. I do. So here's what I suggest. If you're going to do that is rough out the bike first. Get it 3/4 clean. I like to lay the bike on both sides. Get it 3/4 clean, stand it up, and then we'll spray it down. We use scrubbing bubbles. As far as what to put in your foam cannon, I would say any soapy stuff that's
No, but they have to put specific foam stuff in those cannons because they won't foam up the right way.
Okay.
You know, I have some of it over there. My detailer gave me for one of my cars.
Yeah.
And it's specific stuff
that foams up.
Yeah.
So maybe guys can...
But we know that washing a bike is 75-80% mechanical. Right. It's scrubbing.
And in the power washer is what's lifting that stuff. And that's why it's good to use like a product like the Mud Blaster, something that's oily, greasy, that's going to leave a barrier and make it a whole lot easier to clean.
Definitely so spraying before you ride.
And then but get the bike wet first, rough it out 3/4 before you spray it with whatever foam cannon you're going to do with soap. We'll go around and spray the whole bike with soap and let it soak in there, because if you just spray it on top of the dirt, you're not getting to the plastic or into anything else. So that's the big thing I would do to help you along. All right, so back to my bomber glasses here. This Styles B, this one's really interesting. This dude, he must have money to burn because he wanted to test a couple different bikes. He says, I bought both because he is messaging me emailing me on a couple bikes. He says he bought a 25 250 XCF and a 25 YZ 250 FX. I had the KTM stock ECU mapped and cam mod on the KTM. I can't remember what shop did it. He's down like in Florida area, I think. And he had a shop down there do it. The KTM pulls noticeably harder from bottom to top than the YZ, but it's not a fair comparison because he didn't do any mods to the Yamaha. And so he wants to know if he gets the ECU done or a dual injector on the Yamaha, can you make it as fast as the KTM? And he says the KTM feels like it has a 270 kit compared to the Yamaha, but the KTM, the gearing, the ratios and everything, they pull so much harder. It's a way stronger bike in many areas. So as far as a XCF type bike, I think the KTM is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The FX is more of a Moto style bike that is really good in certain places. I would say that's more Moto-y, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So it was pretty cool. Biggie and Dambo wants to say, hey Jay, love the show. Watch it whenever it comes out. I appreciate your content. I have learned a lot. My question is about tires. I have a 24 RMZ 450 with the stock tires. Those are the BS ones. I'm looking at some Dunlops and wondering which ones you could recommend. I have a small moto track on 20 acres in Minnesota, and the dirt is a mix of, you're going to love this, rocky gravel, sand, and a little clay. It does get very dry and hard packed in the summer if we don't have much rain. Thanks again. Okay. So he wants, I call this magic wand tire. He wants a tire that's awesome in the sand.
Right.
Awesome on the clay.
And the gravel.
And the gravel. And he wants it, and he didn't say so, but I'm sure he's going to want it to last a long time. So there is no magic tire. So what I would say in this case is, this is where you want to have an extra wheel.
100%.
The front you can get away with, and like a Dunlop MX-34 or AT-82 front will cross all that terrain. just fine. But this is where you want to have a extra rear wheel, spend the extra money, get a rear wheel complete, and then you could have an MX-53, which would be great for the clay hard pack when it's dry, hard summer. And then you can have an MX-14 or an MX-34 on for when it rains or is sandy, muddy, that kind of stuff. That's what I would do.
What about just an AT-82?
82, not going to be as durable and as much grip as that MX-53 on that clay.
Okay.
That's my thing. But yes, if you could run it on the other wheel, but I think you're going to want that MX-53 wheel for those dry, hard. I know what that track's like. He's not watering it. It's just going to be a track that's just total blue groove. MX-53 is amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
Yeah. All right, so we got one from Jason. He says, hello, my bikes. Uses around 2 liters of gas. I've gotten a lot of similar questions to this. You're going to love this, that he's figured out how long it lasts, of gas per hour.
Oh, excellent.
Mm-hmm. I'm not even racing or hard riding. This is just cruising second and third, going faster here and there through the woods. Oh, it's Jensen, by the way. Okay, the air screw mixture is currently at 1.5, making it slightly rich. Someone told me to back it out to 2. It shouldn't be as greedy on petrol, so he's not in the US of A. But it may be slower.
The 2-liter deal gave it away.
And more of a chance of it blowing up. What are your opinions? Okay, thank you. And we've actually been going back and forth on some stuff. He's got some pretty rich jetting in his bike. But regardless, I tell these guys, this is a YZ125, by the way. So you can back out that air screw and see if it runs better, but you're not going to change how much fuel you're using very much at all. So anything you do jetting-wise, guys are thinking that they can jet their bike and it magically save, this much fuel an hour. Like, it's not going to do that. I don't know what a liter looks like. How many liters in a gallon?
4.
Okay. You're not ever going to save even a quarter of a liter.
Right.
Okay. For 2 hours. You're not going to save that much fuel by jetting.
Yeah.
So these guys want to lean out the bike to save fuel, and then they're going to blow up their bike. So get you a can like this, put it in your backpack full of gas, and go ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, or buy a big tank.
Yeah, you're just not going to save any. There's no. It wouldn't even be a thimble full of fuel.
A thimble.
You know what I mean?
A thimble is right. That is exactly right. All right, so we are ready to move on, man. How are we doing on time? We're doing good.
Yeah. Did you want to say anything about this?
Oh, that's your UTV.
Yeah.
That's in dirt wheels. Like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
We finally got the dirt wheels out with your 4-seater. You got rid of your race one. You went through that phase.
Yes.
What do we call that phase?
What you would
GA?
Yeah, you would call it something that we shouldn't say.
All right, so that phase is over.
This one isn't though. I really enjoy this.
And this
car.
one you ride the family around on.
Yeah, we have a great time.
The whole family can fit in. Does the dog go too?
The dog is sketched out on this kind of stuff.
All right, so the dog doesn't go.
But we've gone out and explored mines and stuff like that, and it's a lot of fun, honestly.
Okay,
it's not dirt bike fun, but
at least you can do something with the family.
But I let the kids drive it, and I don't care.
It's great I think it's great for kids to learn.
They
driving
both.
skills.
Carly has driven both this and my Bronco.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And she's 10.
Your granddaughter? That's cool. All right. So.
I was just telling the story that you get mad at me because you actually have grandchildren and I don't, and I'm older and I still have a daughter that's the age of what would be grandchildren.
Yes.
That's good.
It's cute.
Yeah.
Grandpa dad.
Grandpa.
Right. So we're back to our questions. We got one from Moto. Why do you push the pin in through the bottom? This is on the KTM foot peg pins. And the reason is on the left side where the kickstand is, if you don't, it will hit the bottom of the cotter pin and the kickstand won't fully come out and engage. So that's the main reason we do it. And so we could do it just to the left side and then put the other one in from the top, but it just seems kind of silly. Then we might as well just make them matching.
Yeah.
I've done them both ways, so
it doesn't matter.
But with the kickstand, you have to do it. On the bikes without
I'm saying it's not going to come out.
No. And guys lose their mind that we're doing it backwards, but there's many of the race teams run them backwards.
Yep.
So it's like 50-50. I see many of the race teams running them upside down.
Have you ever had a foot peg cotter pin come out?
No, not me.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. No, because
it's not going to happen.
Right. If you know what you're doing,
yeah,
and you're not putting some like little tiny.
I saw somebody had a nail through there one time,
or a zip tie. Right. Yeah. All right, this one's awesome, dude.
This is pretty good. Okay,
this is on our removing the exhaust.
Yeah. Devin Sevo said, "I removed my spark arrestor 4 years ago. The force caught fire, and I'm writing you from jail, dude."
He's got a good sense of humor because I know he's not in jail for starting a fire with his dirt bike.
They let him have YouTube in jail.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But when we're just cutting the screen off, those are just on moto bikes that just go to private tracks.
Moto bikes.
Where there is no fire restrictions, there's no spark arrestor requirements because you're on a track.
We do not take spark arrestors off for trail riding.
All of our trail bikes, because all of our trail bikes are bigger. And most of our trail bikes, all of them, the dual sports, we don't need any more power. We have them running good. The tiny bit we'd gain would be a run a little bit better without them. It's not a big deal. When you're riding at 8,000 and 10,000 feet, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right.
I got this one too.
Yeah.
Please comment on the placement of the yellow dot on the tire relevant to the location of the inner tube and the rim. Many thanks. This is from Homiculus07.
Okay, so the first thing to do is you get some contact cleaner and you spray that yellow dot and you rub it off, and then you don't have to worry about it. But what that yellow dot is the lightest spot on the tire. So some of the manufacturers will put it at the rim lock, some will put it at the valve stem. It doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, a dirt bike, when you take it out, you get one clump of mud, your front wheel is out of balance. So that's why the guys will put it at a certain spot, is to keep the front wheel balanced. We're not riding street with those bikes. Now, the bike, if I am gonna put one on a dual sport or like your adventure bike, I would maybe look for that dot to put it on the valve stem.
But you're going to balance the wheel no matter what.
Yeah, but it might make it a little easier for you.
On the front tire video we did, you balanced the wheel.
Yes.
So let's talk about this for a second. What do you think the difference in ounces or grams would be on that light spot?
It's got to be so minimal.
Minimal.
Like I wouldn't even know, but it's got to be hardly anything.
Right. Okay. That's my point. Is just like it's not going to be anything hardly.
This is Jui Yansalamo.
Hey, you need to get over it and just read it quickly.
I know. Remember the days when you had to worry about was mixing your gas and not ECU programs and all that gay stuff. This is he's talking about our new YZ450X FX. I don't know if we just talked about it already. Would you rather mix gas or just go ride?
Just go ride
with your cool ECU.
My problem is already I'm tech guy, so I like that stuff already. Right. So anything I add more to my bikes. Right. I'm not taking that ECU stuff away.
All right. So Heston Blum. Oh, hold on. You got to read this one. This is from Fish Marlake.
Heston Blumenthal doing bikes now.
Yeah. So this is kind of, remember how people said I looked like the guy from First Blood?
Yes.
What's his name?
Brian Dennehy. Okay.
So now they're saying I look like this guy.
Okay. So I'm going to have to look up Heston.
And I'll send you photos.
Okay.
So I look at the guy. And he's like a cook in England.
Okay.
And of course, he's way fatter than I am. He has lost some weight.
Okay.
But on top of that, not to make fun of it, but now he's got some psychotic disorder the last 2 years. So he's like a rich, famous cook guy, like a
crazy cook guy.
And so now he's got some mental problems going on, or disorders, or I can't remember what it was.
I think you have some disorders.
Right.
But I don't know that. Okay.
Yes. So now everybody's saying I look like this guy. So let's put him on the screen. We'll see if anybody else thinks I look like this guy.
I have to look it up right now, honestly.
So I'm going to go on to our next one. We got the Yamaha YZ450FX. How much can you make it feel like the 350? I know it's a 450 and it's a big boy motor inertia, but with the motor having backwards design with the airbox and fuel tank, I've heard it's still pretty nimble. Did you guys feel that at all? And I say yes. I love the FX. As far as making it like a 350, I don't think, and I think that's Yamaha's pitch, right? But the problem if you make it slower like a 350, it doesn't have any snap A 350 still has snap, but not as fast and gnarly as a 450. So that's why I would still prefer if Yamaha made a 350.
Right.
All right, so did you look up that guy?
Yeah, you look nothing like it.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Right?
It's not even. You're not even on the same planet.
More like Brian Dennehy. You're saying.
Oh no, you look like you came from. I think that might
What
be
about
your
the Jack Black? I've gotten that one a couple times.
little bit, but
he's fatter than me too.
He's fatter than you.
Everybody's saying I look really fat.
Brian, you don't. Brian Dennehy wasn't fat. I mean, he was a stocky dude.
He's a big dude.
But you look like you could be his descendant. This guy, you're not even a distant cousin. And believe me, I'd like to shame you, but I can't do it with this.
All right, so we got another one on that YZ450FX. It's Stephen Douglas. Yamaha would sell so many 350s, and this is about the FX I mentioned. And then another guy,
Preaching to the choir right there.
yeah, the Mad Monkey 3. Please make a 350FX Yamaha. So nonstop on that.
You know what we should do? You know, protesting stuff is all the rage now. We should get a bunch of people together and we should go picket Yamaha, you know, to make the bike we want. No, we're not going to tear Yamaha down. We want to build them up.
Right.
Dre 707YZ said, I've been running the Kirkland diesel in my DR650 for a few years, and it's no problem.
Yeah, so we brought that up last show.
Yep.
That somebody had sent it to us, and so I'll be curious to get a few more people's feedback if they're using that.
For sure.
All right. So Dustin K says, it'd be nice to see a bike, that bike being tested on single tracks in the woods in Washington and Oregon, and this is on the YZ450FX. So our plan is to ride this bike on single track.
Yeah.
Later this spring, we plan on being some desert stuff. And then as we get into June and July, we'll be able to get to some mountain single track. So that's
Sure.
our goal. So we do plan on getting it to some mountain single track. I don't know that I'm going to get to Oregon and Washington, but we'll be in Utah and north of there and all that.
Okay.
So, and this is another YZ450FX, which is cool. He says, I have a 24. I'm considering the hydraulic clutch. Ran a 2-hour hair scramble and my arm was dead from the heavy clutch. I kind of can't argue with that. It's pretty heavy feeling stock. And so we're going to put in the new Recluse torque drive because I do some work for those guys. So we're going to put that in. It's an Apex. Sorry, it's an Apex. It's the whole system. It has pins on the inner hub and special pressure plate, all that. So it makes it turns it more into a KTM setup, you know? So we're going to put that whole setup in there. And then I'm going to put the hydraulic clutch on. So I'm going to get one.
Back when I had a 426 a long time ago, I got a hydraulic clutch for that. But, you know,
but that was it wasn't a real deal.
No. It ran to an arm.
Right. This is legit where they have it going in. And we think that the problem is your number 3 and maybe a few other racers of what's held up it going on.
Number 3 says,
so I have one.
No way, Jose.
Yeah, so GYTR has one, and the kit's around $300. That's it. With the whole Brembo, it's a Brembo lever just like the KTM with a 9 master, so same that's on your 350. The line and the slave going into the cylinder.
Yamaha's next bike is just waiting for the number 3 to retire and then they can bring out a bike.
So I have to agree that we are going to test the hydraulic clutch, so everybody can be ready for that. And this is Going Fast with Frank.
That's probably one of the best YouTube names I've ever heard.
Yeah, Going Fast with Frank. Love the bomber glasses.
Love the bomber glasses.
So I'm guessing Frank is somehow involved with bomber. So I'm not sure if that's the Frank that works there that I know, or whatever.
He's an inheritance of bomber, you know.
And this is the saddest one. I want you to read this one, and then we're going to talk about this. I almost teared up when I was reading this to Sarah the first time.
Yeah. All right. So Keith Williams, he says, I wish I had friends to ride with. I ride alone. I love riding my YZ250F, but it gets boring alone. That is sad.
Yep. So lots of things.
We are fortunate. We have a plethora of friends to ride with.
Well, and here's my thing is, I never had, when I moved out, you know, every place I've moved in life, I moved back out to California. I remember going to Paris, didn't know a single soul in like 91, 92, pulling up, parking, and talking to the dude next to me. Talking to another dude across. There's a few people that I met back then that I still am friends with and ride with today because I just went and talked to people.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't hard. And for our sport, if this guy would just roll up to a riding area or to a track on a practice day and go talk to the people next to him, he will make a friend unless he's completely crazy.
Well, we have new ways too. There's riding groups on Facebook and
Yeah, he is riding a YZ250F, so he's on a moto bike. I think trail groups are a little easier to maybe find those groups on Facebook that do rides every Wednesday night or Saturday morning or whatever. So, but with moto, you just simply go park next to somebody. Is nice because most people are pretty cool. Like,
we're all like-minded.
Yeah. You just pull up. So I have a hard time wrapping my head around it. Unless you just don't make friends.
That is sad though, man.
It is so sad. Now, if he lives in California here, he's welcome to reach out and he can meet us at Glen Helen and ride with us at Glen Helen.
Anytime.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So
this is on that. I just talked about this. This is on that YZ450FX and the hydraulic clutch. This is from Rob Reed. He says does the hydraulic clutch. He says it does come with a 9mm master cylinder.
Oh, I see.
That you guys try on a Recluse. He wants to know if we're going to try the auto clutch. We're going to do the Apex first and try that first. He said that it comes with a 9. So KTM and Brembo with their master cylinders make a 9 and a 10. So our 500s and 450s come with a 10, which is a harder pull. And then the 350 and 250s come with a 9. And so it sounds like this Yamaha kit's going to come with a 9, which is kind of what we prefer for trail bikes. For moto bikes, even a 250, I kind of like that 10 on there because it's like, almost like a cable. Like it's a little harder and it keeps you off the clutch.
We put a 10 on mine.
On your 350?
On my 350.
Yeah. I think it's better on moto. Now, I probably wouldn't do it on the trail bike as much because the trail bike, the problem
harder
is
pull. Yeah, you want to.
Your fingers are dead. Your hand, like the guy was saying, your hand's dead by the end of the ride, right?
Yeah.
Like so, you're like, oh man, it's killing me because you're pulling the clutch in a ton to save it. So anyway, that's my thought on that. That's why I like those 9s.
Right.
But the 10's good on the big bikes or motocross bikes.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Go ahead.
Free ride moto. It sounds like a bellyache to me. I don't know. Dude wants close to 10,000 when at best you're getting 3,000. It's a 250 that's 30 years old and a pain in the arse to find parts for.
Well, the parts have all been found. So
right, he don't have to find parts for it.
I still have a couple CR 250s for sale. So anybody wondering, we still have some.
Free ride moto is not buying one.
Right, and I tell guys as soon as anybody asks, I tell them, hey, it's more than a current YZ 250. So if you want a two-stroke 250 to ride, go buy a brand new one. If you want something that's awesome and a piece of nostalgic, then you buy a classic.
And we know that Kawasaki's coming out with some too.
Right. So that's cool. So you'll be able to buy two strokes to ride. So it's kind of funny people get like that. But anyway, so we do have a couple bikes still left.
Keyboard warriors, right?
Yes. So we got one on your adventure. We changed out the tire on yours.
Yep.
This is kind of interesting because this gives us some thought. We're learning. Mike Boiling, he says, "Hey Jay, I'm not running a rim lock. Did you switch? Did switch it on his 1090 and flatted under hard braking without a rim lock. So on his big bike, it's a 1090, is a lot bigger bike. So and I'm sure this was a lot of street use. He's grabbing front brake.
Yep.
And it would then the tire and the tube would be able to move and tear off the valve stem out of the tire, out of the tube." So that's something we're going to consider in the future as we get those, because right now the rims are so big, it's hard to even find rim locks.
Yeah, I think running the tubes like we're going to do and doing on the front, we need to convert it to rim locks.
Right.
It just has to be done.
Right.
I just don't think I'm going to encounter that because first I'm not braking that hard on the asphalt.
Right. You'd have to be like coming into a school bus.
Stop. I'm doing a stoppie. Plus, I mainly want to just be on the dirt.
Right.
I mean, I'll do pavement, but.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be our next future. But I think we're going to research this thing with Faster USA on making the wider rims.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, must know dirt bike hacks. We called it 125 things, but it really should be called 133. I recounted, yeah. With my short attention span, I had to stop and rewind old guy talk to repeat, since there's so much great information learning from guys with decades of experience, no nonsense tips, invaluable, right on. So that video is, and then the next one is the same, Duncan Forever, best dirt bike data dump ever.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. So I thought about making another version of that video in the future, but for right now, that's just, like I said, there's 125 easy.
So if you make a new version, you're going to have all new tips?
I was thinking, well, I would use some of those tips.
Some of those.
Yeah, pick some of those and maybe pick the top 50 or something.
Because tips change on newer bikes too, right? There's different things that go on.
And I learn more stuff.
And you learn more.
But not a lot. And, I'm pretty much...
You got everything.
Hard drive is maxing out.
Yeah.
Well, it can only take in so much more.
Yeah. Like that's what my wife says. Her hard drive's full.
Right. There's not much else.
Yeah.
So this one's interesting. You go ahead with this one.
Yeah, Jay, what's the thickest tube you would recommend for adventure bikes that are ridden quite a ways on the highway and then ridden off-road. Like from one state to the next on the highway and then ridden off-road, BDR type rides. Does more aggressive tire generate more heat on the highway? Does this influence tube selection? Natural rubber or butyrol rubber?
I've never heard of this.
No.
Okay. And to answer your question, I have zero idea. Okay. To answer any of this, because we don't do it.
Don't do it.
So I want some of those ADV guys out there to let us know. We can kind of comment back.
We have a couple of friends that do quite a bit of this. So.
Yeah, most of them are a lot more dirt. This guy sounds like he's going to do a lot more asphalt too. But the BDR stuff, so I'm going to check a little bit more, but I don't know. I don't see any downside to running the thickest tube you can.
Yeah. So when we showed up at this adventure ride, there were people with their bike in a little tent, like a pop-up tent.
Yeah.
And, I was with Rado and I'm like, no, dude, I'm showing up my Sprinter with the bike in the back. I'm not riding here.
Staying at the Hampton Inn.
Staying at the Hampton Inn.
All right. So we don't know. We're going to hopefully find out more of that soon. Hey, is that our last one?
That's the last one.
No way.
That's it.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's just time for CD.
Yeah, let's do
This
CD.
is a short
You didn't
show
tell me
now.
what you were bringing. Short show. It's still hour and 15 minutes.
Okay. This is LA Guns.
Oh boy.
Okay.
So what happened with?
I watched a few interviews with Tracy Guns.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tracy Guns is a guitarist.
Yeah.
And he would have been the Slash
Right.
in Guns N' Roses. That's where the guns comes from in Guns N' Roses.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he was really young, like really young. That was the problem. And like he was wearing braces.
Wow.
Yeah, playing at the whiskey and stuff. Like, that's what he said. He just said it was just out of his deal. Does he probably wish he had stayed in Guns N' Roses? Maybe. And was Guns N' Roses be what it is without
Slash?
Yeah. Does he make that lick of Paradise City? I mean, like those kind of
But
things.
Axl forced everybody out anyway.
Right, later, yeah.
Yeah.
But then we come back when we can make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do never-ending tours. Okay. So LA Guns is really cool. Got No Mercy. This is the first album, like 88. No Mercy, Sex Action, One More Reason, Electric Gypsy, Nothing to Lose. Ooh, we'll skip that one. Cry No More, One Way Ticket, Hollywood Tease, Shoot for Thrills, Down in the City. And then Ballad of Jayne is on the second album. Really good ballad, obviously. It's called a ballad, right? Do you know what Jayne it's about?
No.
Have you heard the song, right?
Yes.
It's about Jayne Mansfield.
Oh, it is.
She crashed the car, yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Died out there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they, latched onto that, because it was like 30 years before.
Way before, in the 50s, 60s, early 60s?
Yeah, so I don't know when it was. And
Late 50s?
yeah, she crashed her car. I think it was in Central Cal too, like James Dean.
Yeah.
I don't remember where it was. Maybe because I'm thinking of James Dean did his in Central Cal.
Yeah, like up by Paso Robles area, I think.
Somewhere up there. So anyway, so LA Guns, great band, and still playing live today.
She died in 67.
67.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so old, dude. So old.
That's so old.
So long ago.
That's a long time ago.
You can't get much older than that.
That's 58 years ago.
58 years ago.
Yeah.
That's so weird. All right. So they still make good music. I just saw them. I've seen them twice, I think, in the last few years.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Saw them with Tesla, and then maybe with Tom Kiefer. With Cinderella. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Great band to check out. LA Guns still making good music today, even have a new album. They've had a couple new albums that are plenty good stuff. So check out LA Guns. I think that's it. Oh, we got rides coming up in our race. So in April, in the middle of April, we'll be at the two-stroke race at Glen Helen.
Yep.
And on Friday night before that, I'll be at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I'm upset about this.
Yeah. What? I'm just going to the Rose Bowl for a football game?
No.
What is it?
AC/DC.
AC/DC. Probably the last time ever be able to see them.
Yeah, one of my favorite bands.
Right. And they still sound pretty good.
Yeah.
And the type of music they sing, and as long as they can play well, which they still do, I've listened to some of the concerts, and the way he sings, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be cool. So AC/DC, Rose Bowl, it's like April 18th
How
or
old
something.
are those guys, you think? 75?
Yeah. For sure. Angus and Brian Johnson.
Rock is a young man's sport, I thought.
Right. Did you see somebody's posting Brian Johnson? He used to sing like kind of disco light rock.
I saw that.
Yeah. Pretty rad, huh?
Yeah.
So we got that. And then the two-stroke race will be on that Saturday and Sunday that weekend. So we'll be out there at that two-stroke race. Dave has a two-stroke for me to share and do a couple laps on.
Are you going to be riding number 30 or is he going to be riding 33?
We're going to do 30.
Yeah.
That's how much I care.
Yeah.
About
right.
it. Because I'll just be going slow.
Well, and he didn't want to do a 3-dig because he said that's an off-road guy.
Oh, yeah. I want to do 30, 33.
You should bring I would just get something printed up and just slap it on there as a joke.
That would be rad.
It would be so funny.
David is very image Moto focused. He wants his bike to look.
He's
like,
Moto guy.
Moto guy. He does not. So if I had a 4-digit number,
dude, you should get like go to MPGC and get one of their 3-digit numbers, the yellow.
No, but they're like 4 digits because it's like R269.
Yeah, and I would bring him and put him on there when he wasn't looking. He would lose his mind.
That'd be rad.
It would be so rad.
So we'll work on that. Yeah, I'll ask him for some numbers next time I'm with him. So we got that, and then we are going to try in early April to do this Moab Green River area trip. We tried last month. It didn't work out. Got hot and it was cold up there. And then we sent Spencer down here. We did the show last week. So long story. A guy wrote me today asking about coming on the ride. And I made it really clear. I'm the oldest, slowest, least skilled, shortest guy on the ride. So I don't want anybody worse than me because it ruins Spencer's and whoever I bring. If I bring Rado, it ruins their ride if anybody's slower than me. You go, well, you're ruining the ride. But at least my level is here. They know that, and they're here like on the trail. I don't want anybody less.
Well, you're also the organizer of the ride.
Right.
You get some advantages.
So I did. He hasn't wrote back yet because I was a little firm. Hey, just make sure. You've watched my videos. Do you think you're in there?
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right. So anyway, so that's going to be like, we're thinking around the 11th, 10th, 11th, 12th, somewhere in there. We'll see.
I'm going to be
right. You're gone
in paradise.
That's why I asked if you were going to be around.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it. Is that our whole show? I
think that's it, man.
I'll make some notes and send you some cool photos to add in here. So thank you guys for supporting the show. It's been fun, right?
Yeah.
Anything else? Do you have a question? You forgot. You stopped preparing a question.
Well, yeah, okay. I stopped preparing.
That's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. Things progress and change. They
progress. Yeah.
so no, and you can look for that YZ250F video out soon on that build. That's a really cool bike, and I think that's it, man.
That's it.
Yeah, we covered a ton of stuff.
Yep.
Okay, dirt bikes are cool. Go work on your bike, ride, all that kind of stuff, and listen to our cool sponsors here. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
See ya.
Wiseco Piston has over 80 years of experience manufacturing pistons in Cleveland, Ohio, USA. Wiseco pistons are developed and proven through professional racers, teams, and engine builders, including factory Honda HRC, Club MX, DBTV, Twisted Development, and many more. Wiseco is rooted in supporting grassroots racers across the country. Wiseco has been a sponsor of Loretta's and GNCC Racing since their very first events. Wiseco has a piston to fit the needs of any type of rider, from reliable rebuilds to serious racers. Wiseco is still the piston expert. However, the brand has evolved and has a complete range of performance components, including engine rebuild kits, clutch and valve train components, crankshafts, gaskets, and more. Wiseco has all of your power sports machines covered, from dirt bikes to UTVs, ATVs to jet skis. Find what you need at wiseco.com or wherever you like to buy your parts. We work with some great companies, and here's a list of those right now. Dunlop Motorcycle Tires, Wiseco Piston, Vinco Air Shocks and Dirt Bike Parts, FMF Exhaust, Decal Works Graphics, Pro X Racing Parts, Recluse Clutch Revolution, Motion Pro Specialty Motorcycle Tools, Works Connection, Uni Filter, Klotz Oil, Cometic Gasket, MX Plastics, JE Pistons, Cardo Systems, ODI Bars and Grips. And remember, if you shop Rocky Mountain, use our link from our site, Linktree, or link in description of the videos. Thanks for watching and listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.